大家好, I'm Martin, and this is Short Stories, brought to you by the Taichung Keda Language Center. Today's short story is called Love Shines Through the Darkness. It's about a blind woman and her devoted husband. It's a very touching story, and is very, as we say in English, sappy. Well, before I start, I'm going to tell you the vocabulary and vocabulary example sentences. After that, I will read the story, and then I will finish by reading 4 comprehension questions. Let's begin. Vocabulary. Cane. Cane. The old lady's legs are weak, so she needs to use a cane to walk. Accident. Accident. Many car accidents are caused by people driving too fast. Depressed. Depressed. Rebecca is feeling depressed because no one remembered her birthday. Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. When the hero died at the end of the movie, it was heartbreaking to watch. Spirits. Spirits. The students are all in high spirits because the summer holiday is almost here. Obviously. Obviously. Fred is obviously tired. Look, he can't even keep his eyes open. Opposite. Opposite. One of the birds flew east. The other one went in the opposite direction. Comfort. Comfort. Oliver's parents comforted him after his pet cat died. Independent. Independent. Shelley feels more independent since she left home to go to college. Protest. Protest. The workers protested when they were told that their pay would be cut. Abandon. Abandon. It's a shame that so many dogs are abandoned by their owners. Uniform. Uniform. I don't mind wearing a school uniform. Hug. Hug. Tom was greeted with a big hug from his mother when he walked through the door. Tearfully. Tearfully. Whitney tearfully waved goodbye to her boyfriend as he got on the plane. Envy. Envy. I really envy the fact that you can eat so much and never get fat. Bet. Bet. I bet Eddie got some good news. He's been smiling all day. Wonder. Wonder. I wonder if it will be sunny this weekend. Have you seen the weather report? Confused. Confused. This game has so many difficult rules. It's making me confused. That's the end of the vocabulary. Now for the story. At first glance, Susan looked like a normal, attractive young woman. But the white cane that she carried revealed the truth. She was blind. Aged 34, she had lost her sight through a tragic accident. Now, after spending her whole life enjoying all the beautiful sights of the world around her, she was suddenly surrounded by a terrible darkness from which she couldn't escape. She felt angry and depressed. The only thing that kept her going was her husband, Mark. Mark was a soldier in the army. He watched as his beautiful wife filled up with despair, and it was more heartbreaking than anything he'd seen on the battlefield. However, he knew he had to be strong for her. He was determined to lift her spirits and give her the will to live her life again. After a few months of learning to adapt to her situation, Susan finally felt like she was ready to start working again. But how could she get there if she couldn't see? She obviously couldn't drive or ride a bike anymore. and she couldn't even find the bus stop, let alone get on the bus and get off at the right stop. Once again, Mark was there for her. Even though Mark and Susan worked at opposite ends of the city, Mark still drove Susan to work every day and was there waiting for her when she finished in the evening. Susan, who felt nervous about doing even the simplest task, was comforted by this. Mark knew he couldn't do it forever, though. Susan had to learn to be more independent. So, Mark told Susan that she had to start taking the bus to work. Susan was upset at first. "How can I take the bus if I can't see?" she protested. She felt like Mark was sick of helping her and he was abandoning her. "I'll go with you until you get used to it," Mark said calmly, "for as long as it takes." For the next 2 weeks, Mark took the bus with her. He sat next to her in his military uniform, comforting her and helping her get used to the bus. He taught her to rely on hearing and her other senses to get around, and he helped her make friends with the bus drivers who would take her to her stop. At the end of the 2 weeks, Susan knew it was time to go by herself. On Monday morning, Susan gave her husband a hug and tearfully thanked him for all he'd done for her. Then she walked down the street to the bus stop and got on the bus. For the next few days, she made it to and from work with no problems whatsoever. She was so proud of herself. She felt free. On Friday, as she got on the bus driver said something strange to her. "I sure envy you," he said. "But I'm blind. How could you possibly envy me?" she asked. "I bet it feels good to be loved and taken care of like you," replied the bus driver. "What do you mean?" Susan wondered, confused. "Every morning this week, a handsome gentleman in a military uniform has been standing across the street watching you get off the bus," the bus driver said. "He stands there and watches until you're safely in your office building, then blows you a kiss and leaves." Susan was bursting with joy, and tears of happiness poured down her face. She may not have been able to see Mark, but somehow she had always felt him watching over her. She really was lucky. He'd given her the gift of love, which brought her sight in her perpetual darkness. That's the end of the story, and now for the questions. Number 1. How did Susan lose her eyesight? A. She was born blind. B. She had an accident. C. She lost her eyesight as she got older. D. She was cursed by a witch. The answer is B. She had an accident. Question 2. How did losing her eyesight make her feel? A. Sad and mad. B. Hungry and scared. C. Lonely and tired. D. Frustrated and jealous. The answer is A. Sad and mad. Number 3. How did Susan learn to be more independent? A. Her husband helped her ride the bus. B. The bus driver helped her ride the bus. C. She took classes. D. She motivated herself to try to ride the bus. The answer is A. Her husband helped her ride the bus. Question 4. Why did the bus driver envy Susan? A. Because she had someone who loved her very much. B. Because she had very nice shoes. C. Because she was blind. D. Because her husband was so handsome. The answer is A. Because she had someone who loved her very much. Well, that's the end of today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. It's about, like I said, a blind woman and her devoted husband. He was so kind and generous. He helped her get on the bus, helped look after her even when she didn't know he was there. It was a very touching story and very sappy. Sappy, of course, meaning too sweet to really enjoy. It's just disgusting. Well, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.